This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. I love the Yalir guys, so I've got to give a little shout out for that lovely little number that you're wearing there as
Yeah,
well.
lovely little sports top. This it's good guys.
How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. It's what day are we on? Wednesday. Wednesday after the fight. It's been nice just to get back home. I mean, the fight was only in Manchester, but I guess when I'm training for a fight, everything's so busy. Gym, physio, gym, eat, rest. We live busy lives. Me and my wife, my daughter. So everything's 100 miles an hour. So it's kind of like get the fight done, and it's just nice to not have too many commitments. Of course, don't get me wrong, there's still life carries on going fast, and there's always stuff to do. But it's nice to spend a bit of time and not be rushing about.
I suppose just initially then, off the back of Saturday night, I think credit to you firstly. And look, if the opportunity comes up to fight in Saudi Arabia or wherever, then financially I get that that is what will be the mover. But in British boxing right now, with your career over the last sort of 12 to 18 months or so, we've needed the big nights and you have delivered that. Is it nice to be able to sort of be that breath of fresh air right now in British boxing and the big step like big arena fights?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a privilege for me, and it's an honor. And you touched on it. Then a lot of fights now. We get a lot of big fights in America. We always have. A lot of the domestic fights that we see that we'd like to see over here are going to Saudi. You can't knock the guys. They're going out there. They're earning good money. They're being well looked after. So you've got to take them opportunities, but it leaves the British boxing fans, the fans that like to come out on a Saturday night and enjoy some boxing and have a few beers or go for some food. We've we've been left with not as many dates as previous years. So to be in my position where from October last year, Box Linares in Liverpool, Josh Taylor in Leeds in May, and now just this weekend gone Prograis in Manchester. Over the last year, three headline fights at three arenas, and I've noticed every time we kind of knew that the fight in May with Josh was gonna get a good crowd. It's a big domestic fight, and then you're talking about a two-time world champion, and unless you are in the know or involved in boxing or follow boxing closely, you might not have heard of Progress over here. But I've certainly noticed that the fan base and the support has grown immensely, and we did good numbers at a new court live on Saturday against Regis, and it was an honour for me to do that.
The Chorley lads were unbelievably loud. I don't know if you're able to hear them when you're in the ring because it's a little bit like sort of one-way traffic. But mate, I was stuck in with a big bunch of them, and there's serious support for you.
There was, do you know what I mean? And it's mental. I've always had great support from Chorley locally. They always come out. They're always chanting, making a lot of noise. But even like further afield, you've got groups of lads, big groups of lads from all the little towns and cities that are up north, down south, across the country, really. Liverpool, Leeds, Manchester, Blackpool, Preston, Bolton, Wigan. I'm getting groups of lads coming supporting us, having a good night out, and it's I'm just in a privileged position to be able to fight and put on these events.
I suppose let's reflect on the fight itself. It was a fight of two halves. Have you watched it back, Jack?
I have. I watched it back Sunday night.
What was your initial reaction to the performance then before we talk about the fight as such?
Yeah, so I'm always a harsh critic. I always strive to be better, and I always want to be better. So I'll watch it again, and when I get back in the gym, which will be soon, I'll look to put certain things that I thought I could have done better right. Um, Now I'm not here to make excuses. Wasn't the ideal build up to the fight, and we can speak about it now because the fight's done. But I sustained a broken rib a number
Oh,
of weeks out from the fight.
wow.
That had caused me quite a bit of jip, uh, which meant I couldn't get as much sparring for the fight as I'd have liked. And then I found myself probably 2 weeks out from the fight. I'd finished me hard training, me sparring, and started to get blocked up. And I think people that was around fight week knew probably I didn't sound 100% were, listen, I would never enter a ring um, if I was unwell. But I felt like I had it in me to go out there and beat Regis. and most fighters will tell you when you get in the ring, not everybody is 100%. There's always niggles, aches, and pains and stuff. But I wasn't 100% Saturday night, and I'm not saying I didn't perform because of that, but I do think I've got a lot more to offer.
Okay. Um, I suppose you'll always be your harshest critic. You talk about having the broken rib and maybe not feeling 100% going into fight week. With it already being a postponed date, does that put a little bit more pressure on you with your decision making?
Of course, it did. We talk about the fight was scheduled for August. Grateful for Matchroom and DAZN Eddie for rescheduling the date so soon. I know we talk about October. We had that little couple of weeks in between to regroup and go again. But once you're at this level and you're fighting these big fights, there's a lot of pressure. And I found myself in a position where, listen, maybe I could have said, I'm not right. Let's postpone it. Does the fight happen? Um, all what's ifs, maybes, but I just knew I had to get in there Saturday and get it done.
I mentioned it being a fight of two halves. The first 6 rounds, I don't want to say were slow, but it was almost what you expect at times of two southpaws fighting each other. A little bit tricky, you're feeling each other out. There wasn't loads being exchanged. And then towards the back end of the fight, it ended up being a bit of a brawl. What changed in there for you? You in the back end of the fight, you seemed a lot more. It looked a bit easier for you.
You know what? And I felt comfortable in there Saturday. So I think the first couple of rounds you're having a look. I'm in with a fighter who's got just over 20 odd knockouts out of 30 fights. We know he's a big puncher. I've been to a number of his fights now. I can see he can hit hard. Uh, we understand that. So you go in the two southpaws, you don't know how it's going to gel. Um, I think in the first couple of rounds, I could feel his power. Um, I was expecting him to come out a bit more out the blocks, maybe put in some combinations together, maybe, and that would have made me fire more. But I think I probably fell into a bit of a lull where I felt comfortable in what I was doing, probably wasn't doing enough. And then, as you said, a fight of two hours. I think it was round five now where Regis scored a knockdown. For me, as the rule book goes, he threw a punch, my glove touched the canvas, it's a knockdown. Got no arguments with that. I didn't get punched in the face, in the body. I think it come off my shoulder. I have no arguments. When you make a mistake, you own it. I threw a left hook to the body. I missed. I was off balance. I've gone over. I've jumped straight back up. The ref gave us a count. Now, in hindsight, that was probably the best thing to happen in the fight because I've come back to the corner after the round. I think Jamie and Nigel knew that I wasn't buzzed, but you just give him a 10-8 round after a couple of rounds where there wasn't much action. So kind of give me that
Kick up the arse.
little kick up the arse to you know what, I need to go out now. I need to start collecting the rounds and start winning and start forcing the fight a bit more.
I suppose, and that you did towards the back end. You now have that WBO international strap, and now we're in a position where you just pick and choose names, and we'll go through some names. Just on Regis himself, a really cool guy, I think. Every time he speaks post fight, it's very honest and raw. I know he said that he was going to retire, his legs aren't in it. I know he's maybe not said that now. He might move up to 147, but all the dust has settled and happy to have shared the ring with a guy like Regis.
Yeah, of course. And from from quite some years ago, the only thing I wanted to do in boxing was go out and test myself. I've got dreams and ambitions of being world champion, but aside from being a world champion, I want to be involved in fights with fighters who the boxing fans, the public consider great fighters. And I think Regis over the last however many years, two-time champion, he's been in the ring with some tremendous fighters. So it's for me, it's a privilege to get in the ring with somebody who people consider a great fighter, a good fighter, and share the ring with him and beat him.
Out of curiosity, as a main event fighter, 36 hours away from the fight, for Regis Prograis to go and drop what he did at the press conference, I feel like I haven't had a chance to speak to you about that, and it's certainly not what the thing I'm going to ask you the day before your fight. Did it bother you? I mean, what was your reaction to
You
it
know
all?
what, Charlie? I think we know each other well enough, but I think with me, it takes a lot more than that to get under my skin. Now, whether he did that to irritate Sam to cause confrontation between me and Sam. He was pissing in the wind if he thought he was going to derail me. All week, all that's on my mind is fighting Regis. Now, it doesn't matter what happens between um, camp members, etc. There's only one goal, and that is get in the ring Saturday night and beat him. So I was surprised at it. Caught me off guard. So I'm guessing he's been in the hotel room all week on his own. He's been scrolling through his messages, speaking to his team, and you know what? When I'm fighting Regis, and it was a bit like the Linares situation where there's respect there as fighters. There's not really much needle. Maybe he felt like he needed to inject some needles and animosity to get things going. But and that's cool. It happened. Come off stage. Kind of felt bad for Sam a little bit. He did get chucked under the bus. Um, we spoke that night. I say we spoke. He wanted to come and see me and explain. And I spoke to him, and it was cool. It was Sam found himself in a position a couple of years ago, trying to make the fight, waiting for a certain promoter. I was not yet with that company, so he's trying to make the fight. And listen, things get said. I wasn't working with him then. It would be different if it was 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago. I said, but we're talking about a conversation from years ago, so water off a duck's back.
Okay, good man. Devin Haney makes me laugh on social media. He said the only person that can make a fight between yourself and him is Turki Al-Sheikh. I'm sure Eddie would also have something to say about that if an opportunity
Mhm.
came up over in the States. But I'm sure His Excellency would be keen to see a fight like that. With that, he's done what he always does: is a lot of tweets. All of a sudden, Regis don't retire. Come to camp when I fight Catterall. Before that, it was Regis retire. Yeah. What do you make of Devin?
Um, Devin's done a lot in his career in a short space of time, undisputed. So credit to him. Um, he got absolutely whooped against Garcia. We've seen what happened there. Um, he's not the only promoter that can make the fight. I'm sure, like you said, Turkey would love to make the fight. I'm sure Eddie would entertain making the fight as well. I don't read into the social media too much. I've told Sam, I've told Eddie. There's probably a list of 5 or 6 fighters that I'd like to fight. Of course, they've been the Regis has won world titles, Devin's won world titles, Josh has won world titles. I want a world title, but if the opportunity comes against a Devin or somebody else, a big fight like that, then of course sign me up.
It seems a bit of a weird one because I've spoke to Jamie now, who your coach, after the back of every fight that you have recently, and it's always right, world title next. We're not settling for anything other than a world title next. Conversations just
You know
go
what it was?
on.
So I beat Josh in May, and then I'm told off Sam, off Eddie, we can probably get a world title fight, but it looked like next year. Now I've been in that position, and we know the story of me being inactive, etc. It's boring now. It's old news, but I wasn't prepared to box in May and keep training all year for a fight to fight for a world title that may or may not happen. When they proposed Regis, we knew it was going to be a tough fight, but I think I needed that. I needed something to get my teeth into, and if anything, it's put me in a stronger position to fight for a world title.
It was for the WBO, which I think will sit you with that number one, who Teofimo Lopez has got the belt now. We know there'll be politics and stuff like that. Eddie said he loves that fight for you. I imagine, would that be at the top of your list? I mean, how do you sort of rank it, or are you just basically any opportunity? We'll talk
Of
all.
course, for me, you look at the division, the 4 champions that we've got, you would have to rank Regis at number one. Uh, he's come up from lightweight. He's won world titles at multiple weights. He's had all the belts, etc. So you would put him at the top of the pile. That's a fight that I've actively said to Sam and Eddie that I want to happen. When I knew it was going to be for a WBO belt, I know we've got the convention in the next 48 hours, and it'll be decided where I get placed. Um, God willing, I get a spot I believe I deserve, which is the number one spot. I understand Teofimo's going through some stuff legally. It's all a bit messy, but I would love to fight him.
How does a fight go with Teofimo Lopez?
I think I beat him. I think I beat him comfortably. Um, he's going to say different. I've watched his fights. Watched his fight against Josh. I watched the Steve Claggett fight. Um, he's had a couple shaky performances. I just think my style's all wrong for him.
You and the missus heading down to Puerto Rico in December?
Yeah, I think so. If we can squeeze it in, we'll take a trip to Puerto Rico. Liam Parrot's fighting Richardson Hitchens for his IBF world title. Another champion. I've been at a couple of Liam Parrot's fights. I watched him box Montana Love. He had a nice win there, and then went and beat the boogeyman. They called him. I thought he was shite, but he went and beat the boogeyman and won the world title. So every credit to him. He'll have his horns locked in, and he'll be fully focused for this fight. But again, another champion that is under the same stable, under the same umbrella, Matchroom Boxing. So it's a no-brainer. If that fight can be made, then we take that.
From conversations with yourself, from conversations with Sam over the last year or so, it's crazy with you, Jack, because you've always been this fighter with so much potential and obviously ability. And it just felt at times like promoters were never giving you the sort of what you deserved. Is it nice to be finally sat here reaping the rewards of what you should have really had? Because you've had some crap times really where you've probably been sat here thinking, what on earth am I doing? And that's such an age-old thing of boxing, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. There's been numerous times, uh, and even like I said before the last year, where I thought, what's really going on here? Like, are we going to do this, or is it time to wrap it up? But I think I I say thank you to my team, to my family, because I enjoy boxing. I'm passionate about it. I love being in the gym, um, and I'm very blessed that I can call it me work, my job. Um, but yeah, I think, and that's kind of the message I try to push out to. So we got load of local amateur gyms and young kids looking up to us, so to speak. So I think you've got to be consistent. You've got to enjoy what you're doing. I enjoy it, and I think as long as you are consistent and you turn up and you put the work in, you will get there.
Finally, from me, out of all the names, who do you want the most? And how will it all go down?
I want to fight Teofimo Lopez. We can do it in February. We can do it in March. We can do it in Manchester. We can do it in America. We can do it in Saudi. I want that WBO belt. So for me, I boxed for Frank Warren for numerous years, and I chased the WBO belt. I got to number one mandatory for the WBO. Uh, Boxed that little shit house from Scotland, got stitched up. That's old news. I found myself fighting for a WBO belt this weekend gone. Um, so it's quite a good story for me if I can go down that WBO route again and get my hands on TO and give him a spanking.
Jack Catterall, you're a legend. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know what you're doing, but I hope you get a bit of downtime because you're actually more active than I think I've ever seen you. Maybe not in the gym, but certainly in the world of seeking fights. So no, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, we'll be spending some time now chilling. But I'll be keeping my eye on everybody and I'll be training and I'll be ready for when that call comes.
Good man. Good talking to you, brother.